So AvePoint provides a collection of products and services to the market to really help them take full advantage of the stack of technologies that Microsoft has. So, for example, we have a suite of infrastructure tools that helps organizations manage the manage space and the cost associated with storage within SharePoint and all the documents. We're able to better connect and integrate other platforms into SharePoint. So a small example would be creating a connector product so that I can consume all my file share assets right in a SharePoint-like experience and get all the versionings and check-ins and checkouts and kind of document management features that we know SharePoint brings, even though that content lives in another source. We're very big on migrating content into SharePoint, so as organizations continue to adopt and consolidate on SharePoint as a platform, making sure those assets can be brought into SharePoint in a safe and protected way, preserving the context as much as possible. And then as we look to where we've been in the last few years and where our trajectory is taking us, it's to make sure that we're really doing more within the governance, risk, and compliance space to make sure that the information that's being created, consumed within an organization is got the right security levels, it's got the right metadata taggings, it's stored in the right location, and ultimately there is the peace of mind around the information security around that content that's been produced, whether that's on premises or in the cloud. Lots of trends. One being that as organizations continue to produce more and more content is to recognize that that content is oftentimes placed in a state or in a world or in a system that just doesn't allow them to easily consume that content later. So I sometimes like to make an analogy of the black hole. So I can create a document, it gets sucked into whatever that document world happens to be, but good luck trying to get that document out. So really trying to create a way that that content that was produced by person A can then be consumed by the rest of the organization. So really kind of enabling and fostering the sharing of that knowledge in the future. But at the same time, recognizing it's not always about information availability, it's also about information security. So as that information was produced, and the person who created that may not know who really needs to consume this article of data, right? Should it fall under a certain security policy that is either very well defined or maybe not very well defined, but hopefully have the system make better intelligent choices, almost like a librarian would in a library, to make sure that book is filed on the right shelf, have the systems in fact classify and store that information in the right place, really kind of reducing the user burden and the mistakes that are often made as new content is produced and then stored in some type of electronic filing system. I would say one of the biggest best practices is to recognize that when you're moving forward with an information management system like SharePoint or others, it's not pushed out in an IT-led like initiative. So for example, Microsoft and others are really good about touting the features that these platforms offer, and there's the kind of mistake that people make that all I need to do is just deploy the technology and somehow the business is going to figure out how to use this and they're going to start adopting new processes and creating better habits. And the reality is technology is not enough to really change how people think and how people work and how people act. And so it's really recognizing the business needs to come first and making sure that our need is very clearly articulated. What is your current state? What is your future state? What does your roadmap look like as you're going from today to the future world? And then aligning the technology then to that and making sure that it's a business first initiative, I would say is probably the most important thing that I think if I'd like people to take away from it, would be that message.